给谁了？
OK，上个学堂做给穷人了，将就把头打人家出去，大概新手级别做了，找老本去三个主播了，上个学堂做给穷，将就把头打人家，大概新手级别做了给找老本去三个主播了，上个学堂做给穷人了，将就把头打人家出去，大概新手级别做了。找老本去三件主播了，说。관계 토지 예술은 다와 단체 반대시는 된자 고담 될라 샤스 아야 다 가장 저 쇼장 이슈도 임바래 그라
Ja. Allez, Nishu Rebegen Nishu Sani Marebe?
니시사니
Achso. Ja.
니시사니 쇼장 니시사니데
Achso.
다 쇼장 니시사니데 간이스나 kin시라 캐주 겐덴베 추스라 그야 로 kin시라 캐주 겐덴베 추스 다 kin시 가레스 캐주 가레스 라고요 kin시디 두제레스 캐주디 캐주 게샤바레스 로
Ja.
kin신 두제라 캐주 게샤바레스 아 캐주 게마도 메르베스나 텔라 망아 요레스 니네 게드 조원도 제네 게 캐주 게디 로 다 캐주 게부데드네 아 탐전 dü제 인바인데 단 dü제 캐주 인바인데 딱 가인사 대탄저 군속에 템바레스 템바니게 나나 군속에 템바레스 다 되네 캐주 게게 나로 캐주 게보데 호랑게 뭐 요레스 캐주 게보데 요레스 가인사 뭐보레스 dü제레스 교단 깨나 때는 중화레스 예나양스 파베 이시기 딱 코나니 세베 스무나 되게 캐주게도 요 말레스 자장 가바메바 깨메바 쳬바메바 따메바 와메바 드메바 타데 데미 든지 민세 메메세 라베디 난저 실험 임비 나로 수메 다메 티메 로메세 with 치바레스 가인스나 되게 참아 요레스 수다티로 레잘라 소바드라 요로다 여신도라 매 메시지디 자과 군자간이스나 대다 딱 호나니기 수기네지 수데서 간이스나 수 코란기 뭐 요레데 이네 수 수수루마데 수기네루 타도 마레스 메바이나 수디 나와 따르도 템버 투요 마레스 내바이는 수다티로 레자 탐제 직발했어. 직발인다 대탐제 간이스나 대코나니 시비 시무는 중세자메스. 매대 군속 템바 임시를 쏘더라고.
So here we are on the page 22, and so just about the section here, we find the manner in which the basis possesses the 8 attributes or the 8 characteristics. So we can say that those characteristics, usually speaking, apply to functioning things. Yeah, if we speak about the whole set of the 8 characteristics, the 8 attributes, are applied to functioning things. Yeah. So of course, when we speak about those 8, we speak about cessation, production, then coming and going, then permanence and annihilation, one and different. Yeah. So those 8 characteristics which are mentioned in the homage, and they are negated in the homage because they refer to conventional truth. Yeah, so when we speak about cessation, production, and so on, they among the two truths, they refer to conventional truth. Yeah, so they have an entity. they have a nature or an entity because they are of the nature of functioning things. Yeah, if we speak about all those characteristics. So we could say that those functioning things are a reason independence on causes and conditions. So that's perfect. But if we speak here according to the perspective of the exalted wisdom, the exalted wisdom, within that perspective, there is no characteristics. Those characteristics are not there. Yeah, it's 100% sure. So that's why we cannot find cessation. Yeah, so that's why the text says without cessation, without production, without coming, without going, and so on. And it's the meaning can be found exactly in the Hridaya Sutram, the Heart Sutra. Yeah, the Heart Sutra, where we find no form, no sound, no smell, no taste, and so on. So it means that this negation is within the perspective of that exalted wisdom. Yeah, so of course, generally speaking, there is a form. Yeah, form has an entity. But this entity, the definition of form is that which is suitable to be a form, is not its very nature. It's not its final nature. Yeah. So the final nature is deprived of any appearance of conventional truth. So that's why, according to reality, we cannot find those characteristics which are conventional truths.
This one.
No.
야, 나도 씨, 당한테 마 치데 마 로기로지.
No.
천실라 캐시 겐덴베 추숨베 깝드르스. 천실라 캐시게 천신 두제라. 캐시 최제 갑존은 디고다. 나라도 수부조샤는 디고야래. 나라도 샤는 디고야래. 내 풍부스 갑존은 디고야래. 야 치로가 나라도 통해 천시들라 메도적 최저존은 디고야래. 단다 두제 가는 어찌라 캐시 개탕오레스. 캐시 개된 덴바레스. 얘네양 캐시 개던 덴바레데 얘네야 캐시 개보디 두제 대단 대 내루타도 마레스. 두제 대 내루타도 돼. 두제스는 하고도 와.
No.
잡아서 두제 대 딱된 제가 좀아. 로 리베 잡아차 넘버 2세 야는 템버트베 찍다 템버트베 타데 예메세 얘는 다 돈다 간이서 돈나 주지 리베 째네 많이 봐대 두제 대단테 돈이 레스 어디 살다.
So here, if we read the text, so the first sentence, dependent origination or pratitya samutpada, is mentioned in this context where it is taught how the characterized basis possesses the 8 attributes or the 8 characteristics, without cessation and so on. So here we speak about those basis. The basis here we can refer to any functioning thing. We can say my body, we can say me, my person, my body, and on the external side, we can speak about a flower, we can speak about any functioning thing, any conditioned phenomenon, which possesses the whole set of these 8 characteristics. So that's why we speak here mainly about functioning things or composed phenomena, and they are endowed by those characteristics, the whole set. But those characteristics, those attributes are not the final nature of functioning things. The final nature is found when we look, we search, we investigate the referent of that functioning thing. When we search, is that functioning thing truly one? Is that functioning thing truly different? and so on. So what we find is the absence of those characteristics. Yeah, those characteristics are not the ultimate nature of functioning things. This ultimate nature is emptiness.
This one.
No.
I don't know, can you say no? Ngaraz samro yago tana ke sabu thone jyare. Can you say no? Ngaraz lagu yare. Ngas lagu do. Nge pumbus lagu do. Nge khangpa lagu do. Nge mota lagu do. Nge leka lagu do. Nge sa shivuj lagu do. Ine de dige labia dige dige. De tamja de. Palo shib sabu ngane tsagan rona. Che nigi yamata. De shib sabu santan bayina. Ribe cheba yago cheba yana. Nigi yamare. Mingi ba yindisa. Ta dige de kanyisa. Minzang to yores. Tokbe wange shaka zang chires. Tanye do yeba zang res. Mado chigi pat shimju nendenji chene sekan tono nye bindos. Chazan dos samlo nendenji tana ke sabo yores de.
So here a point which is very important is that if we really think about the way things are, you know, when we speak about me, my car, my house, my job, and so on, we speak a lot about that me, that I, that mine, and so on. Yeah. But if we really think about the way it exists, then we cannot find it. Yeah. So if we really use proper reasonings, flawless reasonings, then if we check the true way for the I, the me, and all those things to exist, we cannot find them. So that's why we say they are mere designations. They are merely established by the power of conception, conceptualization. They exist merely as conventionalities. Yeah, so that's why we can say that if we look for them, those things, those me, I, car, and so on, we cannot find them in the aftermath of an ultimate analysis. Yeah, if we really look for them, we cannot find them. This is very important.
Chazan di nenga che karchak dosala de. Tana tseri ba. Duten la shimju chengen shiyor ba. Duten la shimju chengen dozo yinba ina. Shimju chebe tala. Da duten di Kurangzi semne la zhugu yore. Mindu se sha zhugu yore. Honzu che ke langa yamar de yine ya. Daja che di. Da dende chi to ne. Daksan tseka zhona nye mindu se sha zhugu yore. Cheza nga rangzi shungi nalo ne. Tokbe wange shaksam se. Tokbe wange shaksam re se chirwa. Di chomde degi. Di che tamche tokbe wange shaksam re da sunga di. Shivuji shaksam se di. Kechengpo shivucha de yore.
Yeah, and then so if we look, for instance, the way science is checking the materiality, yeah, the matter, yeah. So we can say that, for instance, the quantum physics are looking for the minimalist fabrics of reality, yeah, those particles, smallest particles, and in reality, if they look for them in the final answer would be we cannot find them. Yeah, they are lost in one sense. If we really look for a particle, we will be lost. We will lose it. Yeah, so it's difficult to accept, but still, if we really think about that, if we really analyze things, when we really search for something, then we cannot find it, and that's exactly what the texts say. the phenomena are merely established by the power of conceptualization, by the power of concepts. So this is a very important point.
배수 제바이나 고대와 칠레 간선 두수 세들 고대바야래. 대배 두수 마오배 두수 다다와 두수 세더라. 다 두수데 대바다 마오바 간지시면 다다와로 때네 대바 샤고래. 다다와로 때네 마오바 샤고래. 다다와도 샤마시는 대바다 마오바 샤싱 말에 저는 이게 말에 사만 다다와로 때네 샤고래. 다 다다와데 파도 살다나 니마저 초서 인슈 사시 되게나 초서 찍자지 나와 다다와 초서 시엔 대바 초서 시엔 마종 망어 바다지 다 초서 찍나라 까마 두주 나와네 까마 가나 간사지 대바 까마 간사지 마종 망어 바다 까마 찍나라 다다와스 까마 찍나라 까샤 두주 까샤 찍 다다와 가서 차 기부대에 파사가 다다고란 얘기야 말다. 얘네 두 손대 매슬라면 지금 알아. 두 손대 야래. 나라지 이기다 샤서는 어디는 배 지금 망고전 대발라 대바 망고지 샤야죠 와. 마오바 망고 쇼 샤야요 와. 제동 지금 나더라 대바 야래 마오바 야래 다다와 야래 니네 다다와 호랑 가wan도 누구잖아 니야 사원에 민도 다다와 자원에 니에면은 내가 니야 말 마와 니야 말 대단 시지 뭐가 탐제 나가라 그랬어 다 가서 좀 되게 토마메 원에다 와다좀 되게 전에 된 알아서 가르치는데 전뒤 탐제 또배 왕게 샥삼지다 송에데 어디다 또배 왕게 샥삼지마도 또배 왕게 샥바티게 미친 바체 디가치 제가로는 여기 말다 송에 좀더 내가 송에 들다 수미 다음에 되는 송에 균제 들다
And so one example that can help us to understand that more clearly is, for instance, the time. Yeah, when we speak about time, also we speak about the moment. Yeah, the present moment, past and future. So we can say that past and future depend on the present. Yeah, then so we have to find exactly what is present, the present time. So if there is no present time, how can we assert past and future? So then now we check what is the present time. So we could say, for instance, a day, today is the present time. So, but still a day is constituted by 24 hours. So let's check this hour. We could say this hour now is the present time. The previous hours are already past, and the future hours are not arisen yet. So we could say, okay, that's this hour, which is the present time, but an hour is made of 60 minutes. So let's check a minute, because the previous minutes are already gone, and some other minutes are not here yet, and are not risen yet. Yeah, so okay, we will say the present time is 1 minute, but 1 minute is made of 60 seconds. So which second, if you speak about 1 second, this second is the present time, still this second is made of many parts. So if we really check what is the present time, if we check through a thorough analysis, then we cannot find it. Still, it would not be correct to say time doesn't exist. The three times don't exist. It would not be correct to say that. Yet the 3 times exist, but they exist merely as established by the power of conceptualization, by the power of thought cognition. Yeah. So still, we can say that they exist. They conventionally exist. They exist by way of a thought consciousness. Yeah, the thought consciousness, by the power of the thought consciousness, they are merely established. So if we are not satisfied by this way for them to exist, those three times, if we look for something else, then we cannot find that. That's why the Buddha said there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no sound, no ear, no air, and so on and so on.
啊，这是他懂的，看意思呢，真的前呢，俺所见不的，没写的，我大顿在那没。拍拍娘们是个，但可能是不是我那没事。แต่มาตัวจริงก็สวยแค่เดิมไม่ละกุยมาร์ดัสฮะก็ส่งก็สวยแค่บุตรเยอะกูเลยเลี้ยงได้เยอะกูเลยเก็บกุญแจสมุนเยอะกูเลยยินดีทำเจตัวเบวังก็ช้าสามชิมาตัวจริงตักดุนเซนะโอ้ได้เนี่ยไม่ตักดุนเซนะแค่นั้นรังยิ่งเซนะเนี่ยไม่รังยิ่งพุ่งเซนะเนี่ยไม่สุดข้างบ้านเซนะเนี่ยไม่ So the laga motor carry in the zen in year, but the second.
So here when we speak about no cessation, no production and so on, it means that there is no cessation when we look for the true referent of the designation, yeah? It means that there is no cessation in the perspective of that ultimate mind, ultimate wisdom, which realizes reality as it is. Yeah, so it doesn't appear to that wisdom. So it doesn't mean that those characteristics don't exist in general, as we said. Yeah, those 8 attributes exist. The karmic law exists. The 3 jewels exist. All those phenomena exist by merely being established by the power of thought cognition. Yeah, of a conceptualization. Besides that, we cannot find anything. So when we say there is no cessation, no this and no that, it means if we really look for that, we don't find it.
가서 개보되면은 켄시 군 뒤제대 야마르다 켄시 뒤제되면은 뒤제겐 가서 개보대 야마르 저한테 펜지 뚜루레스 네 르기 차셔라 떠 바레스 떠네 요레스 네 르기 차셔데 메는 네 르디 야마레스 네 르면은 네 르기 차셔게 야마레스 대한 펜지 뚜루레스 와다 떠네 주바 살라드 떠네 줍서 떠네 중앙 떠네 줍슬라 인도가나 야바티게 시기어스와 메슬라는 지금말로 가서 대화 연구도 동해 원가서 동해 연구도 나서 대화 되기도 돼 대화도 줍하고도 나서 동해 되기면도 돼 동해도 거 용되기도 그렇아
So here those phenomena exist, all those phenomena exist, all those attributes exist, generally speaking, cessation, production, and so on. They exist in dependence on the basis, yeah, the characterized phenomena. So in dependence on the characterized phenomenon, you have the characteristic. Yeah, in dependence on compositional, in dependence on composed phenomena, you find their characteristics. So if there are no, if no composed phenomena were to exist, then those characteristics could not exist. Yeah. So that's why we can say that, for instance, if we speak about our body, my body depends on its parts. And if there are no parts of the body, how can we find a body? But without the body itself, we cannot find the parts. So that's why they are established in relation. Yeah, that's why in the text we find that the establishment in terms of mutual relationship, yeah, or establishment in terms of mutual dependence in the same passage, yeah, of this page, yeah, on the top of the page, we find that, yeah, that which is established in terms of mutual relationship or a reason in terms of mutual relationship. So that's why we can say that those phenomena exist. Yeah, the sufferings exist, happiness exists. We can say that we don't want suffering still. Suffering arises again and again, and we wish to be happy, but happiness is difficult to obtain. So those phenomena exist. They exist in terms of dependency.
哎呀，那都是。当我嘛为你嘛老多吹泥巴的了，我嘛为顶中的高端，对这个等着的，究竟了等人从我写进，但我嘛我是呢，我不顶住都嘛我不顶住都嘛我说的是呢，生长吧样人，多得把它吃上毛人，做多得把它吃上毛人，但在他们这给搞这个都是呢，等着是那边的，就在干了等人从我咱们写个都，在咱们这，其他等着人的。究竟了等人中啊，在等这里的，人家等这个团用处做个名度，是吧？等这个团用处做过了，可松干了上头，就当给了等人中，拆下了等人住，都别忘个下山给等这些人们都，让他明天下山给等这是，等人住不是了，就住不是，我的个人的松干了，对个人的松不得，你把都落了掐过来是。
So here, when we read the second sentence here, so the text says, okay. So and for the essentialists, yeah, the essentialists here can refer to the Chittamatra, the Swatantrika, Madhyamikas, and also the Vaibhashika and Sautrantika, mainly the Vaibhashika and Sautrantika. Yeah. So for them, the understanding of dependent arising is literal, yeah, the way things arise. So that's why here for essentialists, the meaning of production refers to the dependent existence of compounded phenomena in the sense that they explain arising in dependence on causes and conditions. When we speak about dependent arising, yeah, so they refer only to the causality, yeah, to the arising in dependence on causes and conditions. So still it is not the full understanding of pratitya samutpada. The full understanding is implies the three types of relationship, we can say. Yeah, so the first one, of course, is a dependent arising. When we say a functioning thing depends on causes and conditions, it depends on them in order to arise. So we can accept that. Still, it is not enough. We can say also that any phenomenon depends on its parts. And also we can say that any phenomenon is a dependent designation. We can say that this is the mutual relationship that we should have in mind when we understand fully what means pratitya samutpada.
这上头去。当然这东西了，老强给吧，现在你把这叔什么大这些呀，当然了，俺设计吃个多，俺嘞碰碰，俺绿是用个多，俺看吧，是吧？但是这个俺当俺来闲，俺当控制设着，我的大当闲是用过是吧？但是呢，俺说花的阳台是开始用个多，俺这路人给了几下个多的呢。俺这路了，那我那星期，这个的都在那，你就找你们都啊。这阳台嘞，当然俺这路了，搞吃个，路人给的了，搞吃个都是了的。可有时他都能，当把人个人些了，要的地马吃不吃，干嘛这个那我吃的个都。在咱家俺做，干嘛这个那路吃不吃个，吃不完个拿的个都。加上那完的，俺让做了看那完的。哦，新我不可能给内种内陆特度的马来是的，是吧？真正这个老大缺去，老三大缺乏的信息，他俺做日本上当头去，估计也是当俺做了。
So here we can say that yes, the emptiness has to be ascertained. Yeah, when we, for instance, when we check, when we say me or I or my aggregates, my body, my feet, and so on. When we say me and others, or me and the other, so we, of course, we can accept that distinction. Yes, self and others. Still, we can accept also samsara, nirvana, and so on. Yeah? So, but if those phenomena exist the way they appear, then we cannot find them. So it's kind of something very special, very astonishing, yeah, to see how the final nature of phenomena is emptiness of true existence. Still, phenomena keep on
啊，
appearing as if they would be established truly. So it's exactly the opposite, yeah. They are empty of true existence, but still they appear as if they were truly established. So this is a mistaken appearance. Yeah, this mistaken appearance appears to us. Yeah, so it's not the final nature, of course, of phenomena. So that's the opposite in one sense, and we have to understand that by way of proper reasonings. Yeah.
啊，这是，他都上的，吃上子电子式的啦，电子式的花菜的开心不来啥事，但我们别个干是顶中个团台上来明晓把的是呢，生产巴当、大台巴当、其他嘛下巴那些就就当见了电人中啊，台上了，我们别顶中个团的叫个名都是明晓把了，中些边中啊的，就见了电人中啊，团上马来的。저게나 때는 좀 된담 되나 대담 지금 내게 말해. 가연서 펜스 때는 주방. 펜스 때는 중앙에서 이제 된대지랑 가서 고전 샤고도 없어.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I made a mistake just previously when I translated the Geshe-la. I said that the Swatantrika Madhyamika, but they were not accepted among that explanation. Yeah. So here that's why we find the mention of the Madhyamikas. Yeah. So here the text says we could say that the fifth line of the text in English, independence and causes and conditions, while the Madhyamikas do not only expound this meaning of pratitya samutpada, because arising in dependent arising does not only imply the meaning of production in dependence on causes and conditions, but can also be understood as that which is established in terms of mutual relationship, pensun tenedruba, or a reason in terms of mutual relationship, yeah, pensun tenedruba. So that's the very special meaning that the Madhyamikas would accept when they understand dependent arising.
펜스 때는 주바 서 상당인데 대난 대자 상당나. 내 류드 내 류그 차셔가 때는 주. 내 류그 차셔데 내 류를 때는 주. 하고서
No.
펜스 때는 주. 사지 어디를 상당. 다들 대정도 마세베 대나신지 가서가자 유디 유신을 때는 주. 유제디 유를 때는 주. 펜스 주. 교딘 제불을 때는 주. 제부 줄을 때는 주. 주. 펜스 때는 주. 어디를 상당 그랬어.
So here, when we speak about this establishment in terms of mutual relationship, yeah, pensun tenedruba or pensun tenedjoa. So that's the way we can apply that to the body and its parts. The body depends on the parts, but the parts of the body also depend on the body. Yeah? The parts depend on the whole, as the whole depends on the parts. So that's the mutual relationship, we can say. And we can find that also for the object and the object possessor, or the object and the subject. They depend on each other. And also the effect depends on its cause, but the entity of the cause also depends on the nature of the effect. So that's why it's a mutual relationship.
哎呀，都是上去的。 都是觉得国的你也头学过，他平时锻炼出才去上当双，锻炼出就这不了的，这不样就了的是，等你个上当一点行不？俺给绿的，俺给绿个养拉了的，锻炼下，锻炼出，绿个养拉的绿了锻炼出是，下说鱼的鱼人了锻炼下，鱼人鱼了锻炼下是，我只讲的对住都是下午的。在这上当呢，但把你是那的平时对住着是，但把你是的平时对住着是，工作个但把面呢，通常但把用心也要嘛的，通常的但把面呢，工作但把是的用心也要嘛的，平时对住着是，都是个人这对住是的上了当家的，那么就请他做，但还想给结清不下的要的是吧？
So here, when we speak about this mutual relationship here, to be established in terms of mutual relationship and sunterup. So this can be applied, as we said, to many different things. Yeah, we can say that the cause is related to the effect as the effect is related to the cause. Yeah, they are established in mutual relationship, and also the body and the parts of the body. Yeah, you cannot find anybody with the part without any parts of the body, and the parts of the body depend on the body as well. As we said, also the object and the subject. Yeah, the object and the object possessor. The object depends on the subject. There is no object without any subject, and there is no subject without any object either. So that's why they are also established in mutual relationship. So if we really think about that, we can say that also the two truths are established in mutual dependency, mutual relationship. Yeah, the conventional truth. If you don't have any conventional truth, you cannot have any ultimate truth. And without having any ultimate truth, how could you find any conventional truth? Yeah, so that's why it's crucial. It's really important to check what is the meaning of that establishment in terms of mutual relationship.
这点呢是讲，当今我的下班了是讲，推送是这些算是。就得把他忙把他达到了锻炼下是，一那样就得把他们呢就达到我用心嘛了样，就忙把他用心嘛了，现在达到我的忙把你个的得把他锻炼下不多，人家忙把是就是没把人呢，早呢没把人呢，人达到我的得把是下心要嘛的，现在平时对住是平时对住是俺这电脑送要的。平时锻炼出吧，平时锻炼中啊，是不锻炼恐怕习惯哪位是，你叫我们去送一点的，就是你们这个去谈起锻炼的过带说的嘞。
So here, as we referred previously to the three times, so that's the same. Yeah, we can say that without any present time, you cannot have any past, any future. Yeah, but still, without the past, you cannot have any present time as well. So you cannot have any future time as well. So that's why they are all established in mutual relationship. You depend on the past in order to assert the present time and the future time. And without the present time and the future time, you cannot assert the past time as well. Yeah, so that's why they are all established in a mutual relationship. So that's why His Holiness says in the text, he says, can also be understood as that which is established in terms of mutual relationship, or a reason in terms of mutual relationship, or established in terms of mutual dependence, or a reason in terms of mutual dependence, and so on. All phenomena, whether compounded or uncompounded, are understood to be dependent existence.
哎呀，早起了不来是，起不来了，定些心思，起不来了，真的是，本来现在俺那是夸死了用的，夸把俺这夸把说的，来了定的种松是。 le den ko ba la den chung sung le sang ye de ko ba re le la den ko ba de yung ge do是吧 我den de sang da ne ji de ge do de den che ba le la den je xin so da da no de ne gar sung do se na xie sung ba da ben xin so wa xie je na xin so we cha wa la den di xin so wa res di ha so wa res di je mo wa res di engineer res architecture 단도 참 콜레가르든 디게주르스 파라차스나 트랜슬레이터 와다 참 콜레가르든 코 민지 다게 샤우 나라도 던지 다들 하나도 지소는 참아다가르다 참아 응 저는 내가 때는 저거 따주고요다
So here, that's why here there is also the quote from the Madhyamaka Shastra, yeah, the stanza 12a, as Isolina says, as indicated in the Madhyamaka Shastra by saying that the agent depends on the action. Yeah. So he speaks about also a carpenter. For example, when we talk about a carpenter, it is in relation to his carpentry activity, or through his relationship to his activity, that we attribute the designation carpenter to this man. So we can say that any entity of someone depends on the activities. For instance, we can say that a samsaric being depends on the karma, the karma that person accumulates. And we can say that the good and virtuous and non-virtuous karmas are dependent on the samsaric being as well. Yeah, so that's a mutual relationship. So here, His Holiness speaks about the carpenter. We can say that someone is a carpenter because that person has this usual activity, this job, we can say. And also we can say a painter, an engineer, an architect, a translator. Anybody can be designated in dependence on their respective activities. So in the society, we are all like this.
맞아 되게 식순고야래 자와데 집밥보단 대외 편지 떠내서 때는 좀 임시 럽지 기베 자와레스 집보 내라 땡제시 내장 집보 등이라 때는 좀 마도 두베 주는 마통 서고데 다 전다 되게 순고야다
So we find the explanation here in the text. So now we are in the part of the page where there will be the quote from the 8th chapter. Yeah. So here, as His Holiness says, thus the agent who has become the carpenter depends on the action, and the action depends on the agent because they maintain a mutual relationship or mutual dependence. So the chapter 8 of the root text says, the agent occurs in dependence on the action, and the action occurs in dependence on the agent. We see no other way to establish them. So that's exactly the meaning of that dependent existence in terms of mutual relationship.
나래 나도 상단에다 띵중로 과야 오지 차와이나 동발라 과 차줘야지 동발라 과야 보면 띵중로 과 차줘야지 될라 때는 렌제게 남샤주 14번지 셰토야 돼 레윤레게 남샤 14번지 셰바이나 다 란도르 수신도 제토 봤어 용그래 하고서 개와 두 신게래 딕바뽕 신게래 된제 림발라 때네 되네 코아세데 세베타 코알라 파르스데 용데게
So here, so that's why here, that's very important. That point is very important because when we understand properly the meaning of dependent existence, then it implies that we understand the meaning of emptiness. And if we properly understand the meaning of emptiness, then the very meaning of emptiness is dependent arising as well. So that's why the more we understand emptiness, the more we are careful. We are very, how do you say? We are very careful about the the law of karmic causality, the karma and its effects. So in dependence on that, we will be very careful to engage in some activities and discard some other activities. Yeah, we will engage in virtuous activities and we will discard negativities. So just because of that, because we will understand the proper way to understand emptiness, and then finally we will be able to stop samsara.
当然这样的你这上当了，阿拉去你他们家大顿在那早呢没送个多，大看这一张说在那叫你就没了，大看这这个是没个是呢，没把嘛的，大顿在呢你就没讲，我谈也都要的是，但呢没，fire 是没，大顿在那你也没都是，其他个喇叭样大顿在那你也没都是。 라바도 메가라 샤바이는 라바스 두고라 저는 동행 용구로 와. 또 여가 따된 말했어. 타이도 여가 따된 말했어.
So here we can say that any phenomenon, no phenomenon at all can be found if we really look for the referent of the designation here. So we cannot find any phenomenon if we look for the very referent of the designation. It doesn't mean that the phenomenon doesn't exist in general. Yeah, it means that the phenomenon exists merely conventionally. Yeah, so when we say that phenomena cannot be found in the aftermath of ultimate analysis, it doesn't mean that they don't exist. For instance, your hand, if you check your hand, if you really look what is a hand on the ultimate level, you cannot find anything. Yeah, still your hand exists, because if you hurt your hand, you will feel it. You will feel suffering. You will feel some pain.
大顿在里面是大顿在那没是的，你就找那没，他找那没把这个时候都没把马的打要的打，他也都要的是的，这你把都他学过要的说，在那你就没是的当，没是的你就卡的，没是要的人性的没是拉不着马到去，人性都把去没是拉不着马到，他也都没是拉不了马的，他也你他们去要的。 여봐도 단다 빼도들 단다 세고 쉬우쳐도 왔어. 응?
So here, that's why here, if we say that if you really look for the referent, the true referent of the designation, you don't find anything, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist at all. It means that it doesn't exist ultimately. Yeah, the fact that something cannot be found by way of ultimate analysis, if you really look for the referent of the designation, you cannot find it. Doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Yeah, it means it doesn't exist ultimately by nature. Yeah, it exists conventionally. So that's why we have to really be careful about that main point here. Yeah, we said that things exist, your hand exists because you feel something if you have some pain. This is the proof that it exists.
맞아요. 초신진의 가인스는 그는 여름 치슬라데 상계 샤게 두번 입어라 버려. 콩 다데 디스고 상계 샤게 두번도 여름 치래. 콩기 되는 갈숭도서 셰 펜즈 때문에 줘봤어. 쇼군 24송 거들라. 되네 나 펜즈 때문에 줘라. 때문에 중으로 송 사디 슈첨부 실송도와 되나 땡중기 중대게 땡중 코너를 고지 많이 봐. 펜즈 때문에 줘베 뚜둑 기관에 삼시는 최단지 땡주도 고토 쓰데 여름 저 송구야래. 자상 펜즈 때문에 줘서 슈가야 돼 건스 계속 매나 펜즈 때문에 줘야 가네요. 그 얘가 따래 마도 저기 매나 펜즈 갈때 그래. 와 제가 가지고 드실 때는 뚜둑 샌들라 고아지 차바 있나? 딱 가라 하고 고야래서는 땡중 세대. 때문에 라완창게 두배 똥바 세대 다 하고 고야래. 때문에 라완창게 두배 똥바 때 가르스는 똥에서 차오래. 대 나라도 가야서는 코 매벌 속에 들이 냥다 두벌 쳐게 되래. 하도나 대라 잠니지 장죽 생 좋아다 잡아 이나 남지 상기 사람 좋아하게 와다 라찬로 되다. 시원 냥대 있는다. 타바도 탐색해 봐 간대기나. 고치부 되거든. 와다 동이 시아바데 편수 뚜루 시아바 되래. 좋아?
Yeah. So here, that's why in the top of the page 23, His Holiness will explain the things like this. So we can say that because of that, His Holiness is like the second Buddha. He's like the second Buddha Shakyamuni, yeah? Because his explanation is very clear. He says, thus, exposing dependent existence in terms of mutual relationship. Consequently, since this dependent arising or dependent existence is not to be understood solely in terms of causal dependence, if we consider it as interdependence in terms of mutual relationship, it is possible to understand that all phenomena exist in dependence. Yeah, so here, as we said, that's the dependent arising in terms of establishment in a mutual relationship. Yeah, we could say that implicitly the meaning of that is could be if things don't exist. Yeah, independent on what would they be established? Yeah, if there is nothing at all, how can we say, oh, it depends on anything else? Yeah, so that's why if we really understand the mutual relationship, that's the proper way to understand dependent arising. And it means that it doesn't exist and nothing exists from its own side. Yeah, nothing is established from its own side. And the absence of establishment from its own side is emptiness. Yeah, so if we understand how things exist in dependence on something else, we can understand they are totally empty of existence from their own side. So that's the main point. Yeah, if we understand that properly, then we can stop samsara. If we cultivate great compassion and loving kindness and so on the top of that, then we can obtain omniscience, the omniscient mind. So we can stop samsara, we can obtain liberation and omniscient mind because things exist in dependence on something else, because everything is empty of establishment from its own side.
다들 인도 사실 저쪽에 나와라 가르송도서 대양스 란기 교 깨라 때는 중능스 땡중살라데 인지 민지 교견라 때는 중국이잖아 다 대외 대부스랑 다 대마시 나와래 계시 송고야래 대마 당부 다 베나데스 라나 되게 교군중의 깽기 대봉 동행게 대마 중스 교랑게 덴베다긴 대봉 과된 중스 근데 윤데 senzamba menjege sumba na shinchane da senzamba dan doda bada chiramaula soba dende sun tenjung serade da gyunde chogola kwa yena teni tewen jibun kwa ten sade teni gyugena tene jungu mindu de tenjung mayimga chawa tawe kyon yungu du sungu yare
And then, okay, so now we have a quote on the page, on the bottom of the page, here in English. So after the mentioned page 23, yeah? So you have the quote from Lama Tsongkhapa's Rigpe Gyatso. Yeah? So in the great commentary on the Madhyamaka Shastra, Lama Tsongkhapa indicates whatever is a reason depending on its causes and conditions must be a functioning thing, except for the fruits of separation, yeah, true cessations. Though the dependently a reason which are other than these things arise depending on other phenomena, those on which they depend are not their causes and conditions. So here, as we said previously, for the Vaibhashika, Sotrantika and Chittamatra, dependent arising is to be accepted in a literal way. yeah, it's dependent production or dependent arising. So it means that things, functioning things, depend on causes and conditions. So here, if we accept only that point, that way to understand dependent arising or dependent existence, then there would be a consequence, because the true cessations are not produced, they are not functioning things. So if we say that dependent arising is merely the dependency on causes and conditions, because true cessations don't depend on causes and conditions, it would follow absurdly that they are not dependent existing.
배낭 알아서 들으셔봐, 이나. 계속해랑 좀 된데 그 숭이에게 시다 대마 시세들라. 이지요나? 대마 시세를 이지요, 이지시켜 봐요나. 내가 가르쳐 그랬을라디. 저런 정신기 미디 미상고 차도 그랬어. 가이스는 주군주한테는 제부 동행 중고요 봐대. 주 두자지 제발한테는 제부 동행 중하대. 주 야골을 제발한테는 주 람기 대마 공부할 때는 제부 과된 중고야 알아봤어. 제가 된데게 렌데게 남샤대 14호지 그냥 쓰나 차리는 그랬어. 된데실래 봐이나 그랑게 셴라 뜻심래 그래. 그랑게 셴라 화심래 그래. 그랑게 셴라 tranden래 그래. 그랑게 자와 가르쳐 봐이나 팀된 차 그래. 팀도 팀 맞지. 그런 남주 진스. 오늘 남주 진스 될스. 내가 돈다 남았어 용 그래. 그 실업 때문에 실업 이지 배워지는 미디게 이렇게 가르치는 게 쉬운 거다.
So here we can say that if we properly understand the Four Noble Truths as they have been taught by the Buddha Shakyamuni, if we have a confidence in this explanation, then naturally you will become a good person. You will become a good person because you will understand that your sufferings depend on true origins, yeah, the negativities and all that can be explained as being on the true origin. So you will do anything possible in order to obtain true cessations. So that's why you will conform yourself with the karmic law, with the explanation of the karma. And on the top of that, you will cultivate the special intention. You will take care of others, and all your activities will conform with ethics. Your activities will be very ethical, and that's the best way to use our intelligence. We could say, if we properly understand the Four Noble Truth, what is the need to engage in negativities?
아야, 나 저번에 이네. 단 네거티브 세스. 단 라바 나신체. 라. 랭행기 자원 연바 되거든. 정신게 파방도 그랬어. 김배지체 먹어봐 방도 그 걔는 교든 집이 남살을 이지 열어봤어. 하든지 교군중단 제부 두개라 이지를 살아봤어. 교랑게 덴발할 때는 제부 과된 중국이버들 이지를 윤데 걔는 미랑 정신도 미상고 차샤 그랬어.
So, yes, as we said, if you properly understand the karma and its roots and its results, then naturally you will abandon all the negativities. Yeah, you will do whatever possible in order to obtain freedom, in order to obtain liberation. So you will not engage in the true origins because you wish not to experiment true sufferings, and you will engage in true path because you want to obtain true cessations. Naturally you will become a good person.
이메바제 미들라 시럽 여바체. 꿀로 상고면은 가르쳐 그랬어. 그 내가 그 시럽 베지 냠바짱이지 간 땅도 그래. chawa nyemba janjan jo dugre de de na mao ba rang dunga nywa ji da shela dunga te sha dugre ra ko shirab de beje nyemba ji gang chi mo ba cha da ngara zu gyunre tenje ge namsha de la yi ya go shi yo ba yin na shi de ba shi la yi ya go shi yo ba yin na 남냐 드네 고 자와 년바들 주스기 말했어 남자 야다 같이 가나 그저던 그랬어
And then, as we said, we can say that someone who has some kind of intelligence, but if that person has only wrong intentions, wrong motivations, then that person will use his or her intelligence only in a negative way, only. So then that person will experiment in the future sufferings and will give sufferings to others as well. So this intelligence will be used in a very negative way. In opposition with that, if we have a proper confidence in karma and its fruits and in the Four Noble Truths, then we will engage only in good activities and we will use properly that intelligence, that the way to ascertain things, our intelligence, only in a proper way. That we need for that to have a proper confidence in the karma and its results or the Four Noble Truths.
맞아 다 도서 살았다 다 되네 가르송도 쓸라데 텐자 마도 봉고발라 차고라스 대민배 땡조 남네 최샤라 땡는 중화 인양 뜻사데 대교 교계 매너사 땡조 세들라 인지빈지 경제의 땡조의 연구 말했어 어디죠
So here we are in that part of the quote, the quote from the great commentary from Lama Tsongkhapa. So he says, though the dependently arisen phenomena which are other than these functioning things arise depending on other phenomena, those on which they depend are not their causes and conditions. So that's why the proper way to understand dependent arising is not merely the causal way, the dependent production. It's not only about that. It means we have to apply that to all phenomena, not only functioning things.
야, 도시. 다들 가서 상도 따는 데 가라. 뚜줍세드 개심부 쉬우시차샤. 뚜줍세드 개심부 쉬우시 임바 있는다. 네 토네 알아서 삼려 나와라. 리니 살당 거래. 알아서 소소 삼려 나와라. 리치게 되네. 셈 답변은 셈 상보시가 되게 가다 양인지 대화주의하기 교지시한으로도 없어. 셈 님배차 되게 돼 동행중의 교차로도 없어. 된대인데 셈이라 리니 된대 지겨봐지 리니이 나네 딱 그런 거 뚜줄라 때네 때는 줍세 되게 땡중 거 고된 데라 때네 된다 때는 중의 경쟁기 되네 동반이 시고야래 동반이 시에 가를 내가 가르쳐야 했을라도 님배차다가 매봤어야 되래 녀sem되게 매봤어야 쳐도 미유 되래 당하죠 상조도 주역이 쳐도래 제가 안 하면서 쌤도 나와나 상조지다 년조지 니였어 상조 년조 니부디 타도는 상조 공배 땅제 년조 매봤어야 돼 뚜루그 남샤 드셔볼 때는 연구를 했어.
So here we can say that, that this establishment in mutual relationship is very important because we can say that we have two kinds of minds. In our thought process, in our psyche, we have two types of minds. One type is very good. one type of mind, according to which we wish to be happy, and so on. And another type of mind is very negative. Yeah? It produces only sufferings. So those two types of minds are also dependently established. And the very meaning of dependent establishment is emptiness. And depending on our understanding of emptiness, we can discard all the negative sides of our psyche. Yeah, that's the very purpose of that study of emptiness, the understanding of emptiness, is to discard, abandon all the negative thought processes, and just to familiarize ourselves with the good side. Yeah, we want to discard the bad thought process, and we want to get familiar with those good thought processes. So that's the main point here in our understanding of emptiness, is to discard all what is negative in our mind and to get familiar with the positive side. So here also, when we speak about me, I, and so on, when we say I or me, also we can apply that. We can say that we have two types of way to express what is me or I. We could say that there is a very, very bad sense of identity. You know, we could say the ego grasping. You know, when we look at the news, all the problems that we find in the world come from that very strong ego grasping, yeah, and they produce only sufferings. But there is another type of self identity, we could say, when we say I want to do something good because I don't want to experiment sufferings, and I don't want to produce sufferings in others' continuum either. Yeah, so I want to be good. I want to do good things, and we can say also we can have a strong sense of identity when we say I want to obtain enlightenment for the sake of others. I want to cultivate bodhicitta. I want to protect all sentient beings from sufferings. I want to help them to obtain happiness. So it's another way to ascertain the sense of me or I, the self-identity. It's very different from the first one.
lo ri yaga chita ri duga chi nyenpa to yishi che toba de che la teni ta che gore sirwa.
So here also, when we say I wish to go to do good things, yeah, when we say we have to make that proper distinction. When we say I wish to cultivate bodhicitta, I wish to cultivate loving kindness and compassion and so on. So that kind of self-identity is very good. If we say I wish to do whatever possible in order to understand emptiness, this is also very good. And if we say, I wish to discard any wrong self-grasping, I want to discard any sense of pride, any sense of I'm better than others and so on. I want to discard any type of wrong activity. So this is a very good sense of self-identity because it is the proper one and it can help us to discard the wrong ones. So we have to identify those different types of psyche or different types of identify ourselves.
Nga to sang pa re. Ta te ta nang sa ta gyugingi gyu che ne tende chungwa ma nyi des. Ta tewen dribung kwa den sa de lamden la tene chungwa de lamden gi saben gi nyugu ke ba na shin gyu tende che ne chungwa ma res. Te chungna tende de ngobo da tene ngobo cha du res. Ngobo dang dushu sa ta wa so ge tende i kyen yung res. Tende yinde da gyugin la tene chungna gyugingi gyu che ne chungwa de ne ma cha res. lamden la tene gwaden chungwa de gwaden de lamden gi gyu che ne chungwa ma res. Ta tanda rwa odu sang ta.
So then after on the page 11 in English, so we understand from these explanations that what is produced in dependence on causes and conditions generally applies to things, functioning things. The mention except for the fruits of separation indicates that although fruits of separation are not functioning things, they arise in dependence on causes and conditions, and yet they are not fruits of separation that are produced by causes and conditions, yeah? Because it is thought that if they arose in this way, the consequence would follow that these fruits of separation would be functioning things or conditioned phenomena. It is established that arising in dependence on causes and conditions does not entail arising as being produced by causes and conditions. Yeah. So here we can say that there is no perversion, yeah, in the way we can express that. There is no perversion. It's not because anything depends on causes and conditions that anything has to be produced in dependence on causes and conditions. No perversion.
Adu sang ta. Ta dine kam dirsa tinjung gaso kedan trevor sumbes. Gaso kedan gaba meba ke meba sa tende trevor sumbe. Tinjung de duje ke tende la koko ba nande sa duje ke tende kore sa. Chiri tende la duje duma che niga yena yang niga yor de gaso ko chu kejun dita kala dense kinshi tinjung dere duje ke tende jogo sa. Kenshin duje ke tende la kenshin gaso ke sheba nang sa kenshin gaso gebo de duje ke tende la sheba res. Shidri kenshin gaso nam yebe teni kenshin gaso da yeba na kenshin duje ke tende de tende de las duje ke tende da pena da kenshin de yeba inda kenshin de yora kenshin de yona kenshin de yora ta tanda mushi de sungu yora
So then after on this same page, we're on the second part. In this context, dependent origination taught as being free from the 8 characteristics, cessation, production, and so on, appears to be understood in terms of the dependence on compounded phenomena, because although in general interdependence exists for both compounded and uncompounded phenomena, compounded phenomena must be posited as the dependent phenomena that possess characteristics such as cessation, production, and so on. Yeah. Regarding these 8 characteristics, cessation, and so on, of dependent arising in terms of characterized compounded bases, since these dependently arisen compounded bases possess all 8 characteristics, cessation and so on. When the homage at the beginning mentions, then after Geshe-la didn't read the rest of the text, but here just to say that what means the way the basis possesses the attributes or the characteristics is that we need a base in order we need a characterized phenomenon in order to have a characteristic. And we need a characteristic in order to have a characterized phenomenon. So that's the kind of a similar way to establish the characterized basis and its characteristics. They are dependently arisen.
그치. 다 되네, 된대, 이거. 두적 된대, 들랑 가봐매봐, 깨매봐, 시선, 가소가 좁아 되남. 매주 저인데, 가제 개발체는 쳐버렸어. 가제 개발 가르쳐랬으나, 처남게 랑신 내로 타도 대코나니 세비 스무나 가서 제대 메스라 그랬어. 야나 가서 개보대 나와 나랑솔라 나와 나시 소소기울라 나와 나신기 능주다 내주 틈바치 주야 말했잖아 그랬어. 근데 상담은 되게 나와 뒤탄지 나라서 가나 탐게 땜바 좀 주는 게도 나와 뒤는 신지 공원이 내지도 말했어. 계속 모여 내지 된데 임바이나 나라서 나와 나시 땜바이나 다 딱든 세네 니 그랬어. 나라서 되게 니주 여바라고 주는 게도 왔어. 되냐면도 왔어. 다들 세네 니면도 왔어. 어디게 쓴 거야?
So then here we have the following part of the text. Since these dependently arisen compounded bases possess all 8 attributes, all 8 characteristics, cessation, and etc. When the homage at the beginning of the root text mentions without cessation, without production, it is necessary to apply a modifying phrase, a qualifier, to these negations in terms of what is referred to as the absence of all these conceptual proliferations. You have in the homage of the Madhyamaka Shastra, you have this homage to the Buddha, and in the end there is the pacification of all reifications. So that's exactly what His Holiness mentions here. So what does it mean? It means that, yes, we have to apply a modifying phrase. We have to say those compounded phenomena are not endowed by those characteristics according to the way things are. We have to add that point. We have to qualify this negation, because it is not the true nature of those phenomena. Cessation, production, and so on are not within the true nature of those phenomena. They are not exact. They don't exist the way they appear to us as ordinary beings. All what appears to us appears as if it were truly established, but it is empty of true establishment. So there is a discordance between the way things appear and the way things are. So because of that, we can say that those cessations, productions, and so on appear to be truly established on dependent arisings. Still, they don't belong to the very nature of compounded phenomena. If it were the case, if we say, okay, cessation, production, and so on are the very nature of, or the final nature of compounded phenomena, then if we really look for that, we would find that. But it is not the case. We cannot find what we really look for. So that's why if we look for the true referent of the designation cessation, production, and so on, we don't find them at all. That's the modifying phrase.
Yeah. Those 단지 좀 면세다. 나도 두스카나 당 가서 제대 전에 좀 해. 다 다른 인바이는 전에 좀 면세다. 떨어져 빼지 상당. 이제 양도 상당. Pena nga se la yende. Ngara sama nga se rike ji shen yung do. Nga se la yende. Ta do san de. Ngara to bede. So so ge pumpe na lusing na la. Fene ni ju yo ba ta ba je. Kato de lol de ne chagi yarde. Yene nga se de tsaga do na. Go gi chi wu ne kan di ba to tsaga do na. Nga se de ni ge me ta she re do. Nga se nge na la cha sha ne ya. Nga se de se nge na la ne. Di re se ne ni ge me ta she re sha. Right? Tende yindu, 다 가래에서는 나서 항상 바라지 마도 저기 공부를 때네 따방 삼지 마도 저 나서야지 어다 단단히 조심해서 치매랬다 공부를
So
때네 따방 삼지랬어
So here we say those characteristics, those characteristics are not to be found if they are really looked for. If we really search for those characteristics, then we cannot find them. So that's the same with me, I, and so on. We speak a lot of I, me, and so on. But still, if we really look for what is me or I, then we cannot find by way of ultimate analysis. Yeah. So we can say that the aggregates, that's the same for the aggregates. We can say we have a body, we have a mind, and so on. But and spontaneously they appear to us like this. But still, if we really look for them, we don't find anything. Yeah, we don't find a body which exists on the ultimate level and so on. So that's why we cannot find anything that is really looked for. And that's the same for the me, the I cannot be found if we, it cannot be found if we really look for what it is from its own side, and we can just say that it is established merely designated independence on the aggregates, yeah, merely established independence on the aggregates. No quiero alguien mic. Tan acceso. Maybe Daniel, you can open Gisela's mic.
Yes, I'll look into that.
Thank you. Oh yeah.
나가 용도
Sorry.
천사한테 매우 찼어 야 나다랑 가서 가르쳐야 돼 오래 다다래 제가 루싱이 나로네 나서도 세간도나 루싱이게 된도 때네다 나선 주구주사지 라이멘도스 다디 라임 딱나 라이면은 내기 루싱이 간다스라고 그래 다디 때네 라이 용쓰기 말했어 내 강바 내 모다 생수로 라이 요마스 가이스 나고라면 때는 이기면은 근데 살단에 거나 딱전 때는 니에 매버데 경제 살단사 근데 저랬어 니는 예스 타야도 예스 똑배wan게 다 샤상도 예스 여바다 가서 대원도 동에 믿어서 다 쳤었어 내 수부 최대 내 규노 론체 벤조 내 조보 상아 여러분 근데 타야도 여러 나고라면은 되게도 용식님도 와 되게도 내 되게 주에게 라차시를 봤어 와 남자 되게 주에 라차라 최대에서 지그래 남자 되게 주에 라차라 벤조르스 지그래 다 규노론체 대샤스도 다 된다 얘네 조보스 대체래 와 니가 조보스 또 상관도 여러 했어 타야도 여러 했어 나 예배 다 들었어
Ila lacha gedenda kresna lacha
아
lacha deki
규노론체 아
lacha de kirangi sumbanan shin de deki lacha de seyade de
아니
denda kres.
락차스로데 디기 용야기 시.
알았어.
디기 용야기. 만약 아주 칼라지 속이나 진짜 없이 사업시 거하러다 락자시 즉 소야지 어디나 시. 디기 용야기 시지.
알았어. 좋잖아. So here, so yes, when we look for the person, the I, the me, and so on, among the body and the mind, it's impossible to find it. Yeah, so it's impossible to find whatever is really looked for if we are not satisfied by the mere designation and we look for the true referent of that designation. Yeah. So in dependence on me, we have mine. Yeah. What is my house, my car, my health, my friends, and so on. So those exist, but they cannot be found if they are really looked for. Yeah. So that's why we can say that yes, I exist, my friends exist, my health exists, and so on. That they exist as mere conventionalities. They exist by the power of conceptualization. Yeah. So the proof that all that exists is that we wish to be happy, we wish to discard suffering and so on, we wish to have a good health, good friends and so on. So if I don't exist, how can we say that my health, my friends would exist? Yeah, so that's exactly the same. We could say that's the proof or the sign the sign that shows that we can that we exist. That's the sign that shows that we can have we can obtain happiness. So if we have a good health, if we have good friends, and if we try to do good things, then that's the sign that we can be happy. As Geshe-la said, like if we wish to have a good meal, the sign of that is the smell of the meal.
아야 나도 세. 근데 인제 다 가서 개데 다 쇼군이 자식 거라래서. 봐. 내 간에서 감들 타만들라 갈로도서는 켄시양 감들 반대 나와 잡은제 자신 저거 쓰세래 쓰더라. 저 쓰세나라다. 파베 이실라 때네 가봐서 매봐 슬러데 파베 냠샤 이시기. 파베 냠샤 이시기 똥바니 쓰무나 가서 개데 요 말에 있으므로.
So we arrive, Daniel, we arrive on the top of the page 24. And
Okay, I'll change it.
yeah, thank you. And on the bottom of the page 23, so the mention here in the text regarding this special qualification, yeah, the modifying phrase of those negations, Acharya Chandrakirti explains in the clear words, yeah, the commentary on the Madhyamaka Shastra, so the Prasanapada, the clear words. It is depending on the exalted wisdom that there is no cessation, etc. Yeah, on the top of the page 24.
시다. 와도 서다 머리 바다 태외 이시 사과메비 유그란실라 떠내네 마이노 셰송바 따르스 다 사체 사메스디게 시기어래 오마 탄규에 오마 란규바 맨자다 민다와 같이 가슴 거라서 사체 사메스다 알레 담고 쉐바인 거야지 이게 나네 쉐바들라 사체 세데 템바토베 나와다 쳇데니 쉐바절라 사제 템바토베 나와 눕데게절라 사메 스잖아 들 깨지데 쉐바 자당 파벤냠샤 이시디게데 템바토베 나와데 누바레 템바토베 나와데 누바 인데서 다 가레 슬라데 군조가 나와데 양마레 템바토베 나와데 양마레 유다 유신 타데베 나와데 야마레 매는서 나와데 노브레스 파벤냠샤 이시디 똥바니라 추로 추샤바나시 칭바레스 충 글라스니 냠도 떼샤마이나 글라스 나마데 디리 치만 디리스 냠도 야야마로 퀸 치바나시 샤레 야와 쳇토야 야마로 나마데 치만니 와드나 신제네 추로 추샤바나시 다베 와드데레스 나오 무바레스
So here we have the two quotes. Yeah, one quote first that we already read, And further on, as he explains, so Acharya Chandrakirti, more clearly from the perspective of the nature that is the object of uncontaminated wisdom, free of the obscuring cataract of ignorance, things do not exist. Yeah, so here there is the mention of what is contaminated and what is uncontaminated. So there is a difference between the Swatantrika Madhyamikas and lower schools compared with the Prasangika Madhyamika. Yeah. So here, the mention here which is made is according to the Prasangika point of view, and it has to be a cognition. Yeah, what is contaminated or uncontaminated has to be a cognition, because here, as we say, uncontaminated wisdom. Yeah, so it has to be a cognition. Yeah, that which is clear knowing, and that which is contaminated as well has to be a cognition. So contaminated by what? By the appearance of true existence. Yeah, so we can say that the uncontaminated, exalted wisdom is uncontaminated because all the dualistic appearances have ceased. Yeah, they have declined. So that's why we can say that there are three dualistic appearances. Dualistic appearances of conventionalities, dualistic appearances of true establishment, and dualistic appearances of object and subject as being different. So all for the exalted wisdom, which is in meditative equipoise on emptiness, all those dualistic appearances have ceased. And the experience is mentioned as being like a glass of water, which is mixed with another glass of water. And as soon as those two clear waters are mixed, we cannot divide them, we cannot sort out which one belonged before to the first glass and which one belonged to the second glass of water. It's impossible to divide them. Yeah, so when we speak about water which is mixed with water, that's the exalted wisdom which is free from any dualistic appearance.
哎呀，都三大些，都是些什么大故事？旁边一些了，其他我看别一些的，前边看别一些，你学吧来是，旁边一些的了，其他我当年就在进一步，其他我的进一步是了的，工作电话的同样电话，其他我是那当年进一步是那工作的电话，我等着你原来是，你学吧来是，其他我看别一些的。 대 규모 답에 제대로 이시 멤버 냠샤 이시 대 파베 냠샤 사바미비 유그란실라 때네 시 잘고서 소데레 에 지다와 또베 이시 세도가 지다와 또베 이시 세데 간데지 시기레 소거데 네 최단제 규모 답부 캠베 이시들라 시기야 말았다 소거 된다 말해스 되는 규모도 뭐 책이 여봐이나 되는 담아도 나와 연구하러 군소가 나와 연구하러 유유자 타대가 나와도 연구 나와 순간도 용도 요래 들으라게 말해스 사면 색감 들으서는 냠샤 이시데스 동일라 냠샤 이시 파베 냠샤 이시 사바미 유그런실라 때네 가서 되게 영 말해스 나와 되게 탐자 누 말해스 하고서 세 작고서
So here then we have after the quote. So on the bottom of the page 11 and top of page 12 in English. So in general, although there are various ways to explain what is contaminated or what is uncontaminated in the present context, the meaning of contaminated and uncontaminated is explained as follows. A contaminated cognition is a cognition tainted by ignorance and or its imprints, and an uncontaminated exalted wisdom is an exalted wisdom which is free from the taints of ignorance and or its imprints. Yeah. So here we speak about an exalted wisdom which is in meditative equipoise on emptiness. Yeah, we can say an Arya wisdom. Yeah, that directly realizes emptiness is an uncontaminated wisdom, and since such an exalted uncontaminated wisdom has emptiness as its object, although this emptiness is the object of a cognition that realizes it by means of a meaning generality of emptiness, what is called the object of uncontaminated exalted wisdom is not stained by the slightest subtle dualistic appearance with regard to the mode of ascertainment of emptiness. So it means here that it means here that when those types of meditative equipoises are divided here, okay, equal flavor, so we have to go down in the text. Okay, so here when His Holiness speaks about the two types of wisdoms of a Buddha, yeah? Okay, so yes, so it's just a bit on the top of the page, just after the quote from Acharya Chandrakirti. Yeah? So here His Holiness says, it is necessary to apply this to what is in accordance with the nature of the object of wisdom in meditative equipoise. In other words, among the two wisdoms, the noble wisdom, the exalted wisdom realizing the mode, and the wisdom realizing the varieties, the one that realizes the mode, yeah, that is the uncontaminated wisdom of an Arya in meditative equipoise, and not the wisdom of subsequent attainment, similar to illusion. Yeah. So here, what Geshe-la said is that we have there are those two types of omniscient mind, and the one that is realizing the mode has as its object emptiness, yeah, and the wisdom which realizes the varieties has as its objects conventional truths, yeah. So here we speak about the first one. When we speak about the exalted wisdom, it's that very special exalted wisdom in meditative equipoise, not the subsequent attainment, not the post-meditative exalted wisdom, yeah, which realizes phenomena as being like illusions, yeah. So here we speak about an uncontaminated wisdom, which is free from all dualistic appearances, yeah? Appearance of true existence, appearance of conventionalities, and appearance of subject and object as being different. So that's a very specific type of exalted wisdom, and according to the nature of its object, so which is emptiness, those attributes like cessation, production, and so on are not perceived.
기타 사샤 사메 사샤 가래 사메 가래스는 디즈드라 나소치 예스 우마랑게 바메제기 셰즈 마고 쇼시 예스 이나 안저도 나감들 우마 탕주베 루셰기 예스 반데 다우저베 루데 셰기 제단 데라 감들 사샤 사메게 된데 마리 바타 마리베 바샤 가룽게 레베 셰발라 사셰 다 군조 너유디 셰겐게 샤바테갈라 샘쟁이 규기라고 그래요. 대야. 로스 사마게 춘제기 샘쟁이 규기 군조 유도 시간게 샤바 간듯이 이바이나 텔라 사셰스. 텔라 데모토 번능이요. 릭질라 머리베 왕게 능겨 릭질라 머리베 바샤가 왕게 능겨. 전다 데모토 번능이요. 로아 대자 제가 말해봐다 말해봐 바샤 거롱기 숭야데 존재되래. 거롱스와 레베 셰발라 사셰 말해봐다 대 바샤 거롱게 레바다 제외 이실라 드니 사메 시실라 버레스. 와 사셰 사메게 된다디 반데 다워트베 루라 우마탄조베 루라 드니 사셰 사메게 샤바다 간데 샤승 스탄 안조 오데 셰고쳐.
So here we are on the part of the page that I was reading just before, but I've been too quick. So here we have the bottom of the page 11, yeah, and the top of the page 12. In general, although there are various ways to explain what is contaminated or what is uncontaminated in the present context, so in the Prasangika way to assert things, according to Acharya Chandrakirti. The meaning of contaminated and uncontaminated is explained as follows. So here, that's what Geshe-la explained. Contaminated cognition is a cognition tainted by ignorance and or its imprints. And an uncontaminated exalted wisdom is an exalted wisdom which is free from the taints of ignorance and or its imprints. So here the mention is according to the Prasangika, because there are many other ways to express what is contaminated and uncontaminated according to the Swatantrika, Madhyamikas, up to the Vaibhashikas. Still, here, according to the Prasangika and according to Acharya Chandrakirti, in this present context, contaminated and uncontaminated has to refer to a cognition, yeah? And we can say that all the cognition of sentient beings which are observing conventionalities or conventional truth are necessarily contaminated. And if we speak about contaminated cognition, it can refer to ignorance itself or to its imprints, because here in Tibetan we have Gandrung, any of them, yeah, ignorance or its imprints. So that's why we have to keep here in English and or its imprints. Yeah, so that's very important here, because for all sentient beings that like us, the way things appear to us, they appear as being truly existent. Yeah, still they are empty of true establishment. So here the contamination refers mainly to ignorance and or its imprints. Yeah, according to the Prasangika way.
다 동영무수로 또 배팝에 이시 대 삼에 이시 레스 디다비 팝에 사바미게 유기 가서 이시기 유니 동니 레스 하고서 동영무수도 배 이시들라 삼에스라 그래 대 유디 동반이 레스 그러 임베스 동니데 든주스도 또 별로 유이나 대 동니 든주스도 별로 유 말했을 때 된대시 개시 님바이나 대 사면 작만 대 사실 샤도 그랬어. 와? 되나 다 멤버 인도다 사바메비 이시기 유시베 시들라고 군zen데레스. 사바메비 여기 이시기 유시바네 동니디 니즈니나 참이냐 레바메스. 니나 강이다. 니나 참으슬라도 덴바트베 나와다 태와레스 데레다. 레바메버 니나 로베 최게 동영무송도 떠데스로 니나 채셰 된 동영무송도 떠바레스 다도 간데르버서 간데송하르스나 출라 추샤바 신스 로치도 송에 권에 또베 도즈기 캐버시 열라 소들라 도즈 된데 주아레스
So here, just after that point, which is free from the taints of ignorance or its imprints, an exalted wisdom, or we can say an Arya wisdom, that's the same meaning, that directly realizes emptiness is an uncontaminated wisdom. Yeah? And since such an exalted, uncontaminated wisdom has emptiness as its object, although this emptiness can be the object of a cognition that realizes it by means of a meaning generality of emptiness, what is called the object of uncontaminated exalted wisdom is not stained by the slightest subtle dualistic appearance with regard to the mode of ascertainment of emptiness, which means that even if there is some possibility to ascertain emptiness through a meaning generality, still that cognition which realizes emptiness conceptually is contaminated, because still that there is the appearance of true establishment, yeah, in that case. So that's why we have to distinguish what is contaminated and what is uncontaminated. And uncontaminated wisdom is necessarily free from any dualistic appearance. Yeah, so all the dualistic appearances have vanished during that direct realization of emptiness. Yeah, so here this direct perception of emptiness as His Holiness says, has totally overturned all dualistic appearances, yeah, in the middle of the passage here. Therefore, the direct realization of emptiness that overturns all dualistic appearances is a special mode of realization similar to water poured into water, which becomes of equal flavor. They are one taste. Yeah, so this is exactly that type of uncontaminated wisdom which realizes emptiness without any distinction, subject, object, and so on.
다 대답이 캐버단 덴베스. 대답이 슬라드. 근데가 나와 탐시 누바스. 덴바토바다 군도가 나와다 유유제 타대가 나와다 단지 누베 누바스나 나와다 단다 매바 돈인게 나와마도 나와시 매베 근데기 캐버단 덴베 사바 매베 유게 런싱게 돈인데 사메 스타와 이시 대다 로치도 숨마레스 로치도 숨마레스 로
So here the text says this emptiness, which is the nature of the object of this special type of uncontaminated wisdom, and this uncontaminated wisdom have become of equal flavor, yeah, the same taste, such as all dualistic appearances like conventional appearances, appearances of meaning generalities, and so on, are reversed. Yeah, so that's a very special type of uncontaminated wisdom. It means that only emptiness appears to that wisdom and nothing else. So that's why all dualistic appearances have vanished, and that wisdom and the emptiness which is its object have become of one taste.
나들이 말해. 델라사 군속에 나와대 누바래. 둔식이 유기 둔식이 나와대 야마래. 나와서 니나 탄제 로바인스. 대마도가 나와다 둔식 나왔으면 대마도가 나와대 요라. 어디 나와 로바레스. 대답에 파베 사메기 유기 가서 다 사바메베 이시데 유기 랑신라 때네 최 탐제에서 랑신 들라 때네 최 탐제 다 가인스나 누굴라 선배들은 가서 개 여와 민시송스 다최 뒤제 탐제게 땡게드네 가서 개디 오다 파베냠샤 이시 그 사바메베 이시게 이시데 유기 랑신라 때네 요 말레스 와 들 배제 가르송거여서 싸워 있는 뭐 가서는 되네 하대 든지 되면 트바 니르시서 되게 된다 마송거야 트바 냐르시 있어지라 어디 된다 송거야
So here, on the following part of the text, so in Tibetan it's on the bottom of the page 24. So this emptiness, which is the nature of the object of this special type of uncontaminated wisdom, and this uncontaminated wisdom have become of equal flavor, as we said, such as all dualistic appearances, like conventional appearances, appearances of meaning generalities, are all reversed. They are all they have vanished. Yeah. So it is then said that there are no such 8 characteristics on the basis of subjects like a sprout and so on, in accordance with the nature of the object of such uncontaminated exalted wisdom. So that's the modifying phrase that we have to add to no cessation, no production, and so on. It means there is no cessation, no production of a sprout or anything else, according to the object of that exalted wisdom, yeah, in the perspective of that uncontaminated exalted wisdom. And as Geshe-la said, it is exactly the meaning of the homage in the beginning of the Madhyamaka Shastra, where Aryanagajuna says the pacification of all reifications. Yeah, this is the those reifications, those appearances of true existence and so on have totally vanished.
야, 그렇지. 근데 인도스보다 치디스. 매도 답이 때도 뺏은 사람을 우리 겨울음식게. 매도 답이 스나다 거 빼라. 뺏든지 식된도스. 가서 개때스. Tini Nelus Tuna, Tinelus Tugumares, Tinelus Tugam, Kesi Tuna Kayarasmota. Nelus Tuna, Nelun Cheve Same Yishi Nyakwala, Quajangs. Qua Pavinyamsha Shidi Nyaku, the Tini Marvas. Chesa Medog Nelus Madubes. Sam Qua Kainsna Medog Tenga Gaso Kebute, Medog Digi. 아, 캐시 매도게 캐시 레데 디네루 터두데 말이 숨고야 알아? 마주베 대단네루 무슨도 통로 로데 뭐 마주바레 마도지 내가 말해 숨었다. 가야서 뭐디 뭐라 내가 래 지금 내가 말했어 싫어?
So here, the end of the page here, and the page 25, His Holiness keeps on. He says, so if the 8 cessation and the rest were established within the mode of abiding of the reality of something like a flower, the wisdom that observes the mode of abiding should find them. Yeah, the uncontaminated wisdom, which is realizing directly emptiness, should find those characteristics, but it's not the case. Yeah, so His Holiness says, still these 8 do not belong to the mode of abiding of the flower, which is why they are not established or do not exist from the perspective of the cognition that realizes directly the mode of abiding. It means that those 8 characteristics don't exist within the perspective of that uncontaminated wisdom. It doesn't mean that those 8 don't exist at all. Yeah, they just don't exist within the perspective of that uncontaminated wisdom.
나야. 다 된다 뭐시 가라했을라데. 가서 개스리 코 킨시 들라 때네. 때네 따바 잠치레스. 로? 때네 샤과 삼레스. 요? 때미게 때바 메베 코네 샤과 마레스. 막대바 킨시 메도라 막대바 가서 되다 야 마레스. 제자 되라 때바레스. 때네 주바당 때바 메바세데 원게를 숨어서 가와레스. 야나 뚜주 인고 야나 때메도 주고스. 라디 딘 파라라 신다 줘서야 말았어. 제자다 뚜주 브라마다 거의 캐셔래. 신시 메도게 캐션 가서 게데 그 뚜주 레마다지 때메 말해. 콜라 때메 가서 게데 요야 말았어.
So here the main meaning of what we've seen here is to say that the independence on a characterized phenomenon, you can find a characteristic. Yeah, so it means that those characteristics and those qualified bases are simply or merely established in relationship or merely established independence on the designation. Yeah, so that's why they don't exist without depending on each other. Yeah, so that's the meaning here. We can say that a flower, independence on a flower, you can have production, cessation, and so on. Yeah, and it means that you cannot find any production and cessation without the flower, without depending on the flower. So to depend and to be independent are explicit opposites. They are a direct contradiction. Yeah, so either it is established independence on something else, or it would be established without depending. So those two are directly contradictory. Yeah. So that's why here phenomena are mutually established. Yeah. You can find the characteristics which depend on the flower, for instance, and the flower depends on its characteristics. So because they are established in mutual relationship, they don't exist at all in an autonomous manner, in an independent way.
아야, 다 배제 대 드린데 샤슈라.
Voilà, so to Jinangela.
아,
So,
나도 지 좋아서 안.
no.
드냐 사실 신다실레스.
So next time we will enter into another part of the text yes, of the next page. And today we will stop here because the time has finished. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jinangela.
Thank you very much. Kala mungu just touch.
Kenang Marangela. Kenang
야, 야.
Sichepe. Chimbore.
장주 선조 rinpoche, 마게 바나 게 줄지. 게바 냠바 메바야. 고네 공도 배워라죠. 가리라와 고루 신강수 편다대와 말이 주어네. 제레스 뭐 땡이 자서 샤베 시데바도 땡기로 제 아야.
Thank you very much, Geshe-la.
Ah, thank you very much and see you next time.
See you next
Next week.
week.
Okay, next week.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
这是些다
Yeah.
진바대 야구 교부도
Bye bye, Geshe-la. Thank you.